Ofosu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to comment on the presentation of the 2026 budget statement and economic policy of President John Dramani Mahama. Mr. Speaker, let me start by commending highly the Finance Minister for presenting what, by every account, is an inspiring budget that sets us on the path to rapid economic recovery and socio-economic development. Mr. Speaker, before I delve into specifics in the budget, there is a need to correct some misimpressions that were created in the course of the contributions by our friends on the other side. Mr. Speaker, they have sought to contest the absolutely indubitable fact that the economy that they superintended was in shambles. Mr. Speaker, that the economy we inherited from them was in shambles is a matter of public record. It is not debatable. As has often been said, Mr. Speaker, economic analysis is carried out on the basis of specific indices. There are metrics. There are things you use to measure economic performance, which are not subject to interpretation or opinion. Mr. Speaker, the economy they handed over to us was one that was in the throes of deep economic default. For the first time in the history of Ghana, a government defaulted on our debts. Mr. Speaker, for the first time in the history of Ghana, our credit ratings was at junk status. In local parlance, we call it bola. In Mura, that was the state of our ratings. Mr. Speaker, the currency, the Ghana cedi, suffered a catastrophic collapse under the watch of our colleagues on the other side. By the time they left office, you could buy the dollar for 17 cedis in some forest bureaus in Ghana. This is not a disputable fact. Mr. Speaker, inflation at a point reached 54%, hyperinflation. You went to the market in the morning to buy an item at one price, only to return in the afternoon to find that the price had gone up. By the time they left, it was at 23%, which was exceptionally high for an economy like ours. Mr. Speaker, when they went into the IMF program, albeit in an ambulance, they committed to leaving a primary surplus of 0.5% at the end of the 2024 financial year. Mr. Speaker, we came into government and discovered that far from leaving a surplus of 0.5%, they had in fact done a primary balance of negative 3.5%. Mr. Speaker, the budget deficit was hovering around 5.7%. So there is absolutely no doubt that the economy that we inherited was in shambles and that it had been mismanaged. Our public debt had reached levels that made it impossible for them to repay. Mr. Speaker, they gave 1.3 million Ghanaian bondholders excruciating haircuts that plunged them into severe economic hardships. This is not in dispute. So it is settled beyond debate that the economy was in shambles under them. Mr. Speaker, the next issue that is not up for debate is that there has been a remarkable turnaround in the fortunes of the Ghanaian economy. The same indices that I recited, Mr. Speaker, when you look at them under us, you see remarkable recovery. Mr. Speaker, contrary to the junk status of our credit ratings, today we have come back to B-. Mr. Speaker, today, the Ghana cedi on the interbank market sells at 10.9 Ghana cedis. That's what the Bank of Ghana has reported. Even on the Forest Bureau or the Forest Bureau, it hovers between 11 to 11.5 cedis. Under them, it was 17 cedis. Mr. Speaker, inflation is at 8%, and the minister has given indication that they expect it to reach 6.5% by the end of this year. Mr. Speaker, the primary balance, and the reason why I stress the primary balance, is that they made it the main anchor of the IMF program. In other words, it was the most important indicator for them. They chose it. Mr. Speaker, from the negative 3.5% primary balance, the Minister of Finance set a target of a surplus of 1.5%. Mr. Speaker, he went 0.1 better and achieved 1.6% by the third quarter of this year, which has never happened in recent memory. Mr. Speaker, today, Ghanaians are seeing relief from the economic management of the John Dramani Mahama administration, because we have been able to control the cedi, or I beg your pardon, the exchange rates. For 10 consecutive times, the price of fuel has dropped. Mr. Speaker, there is record before the Economic Committee of this House that up to 4,500 different items saw price reductions because of the appreciation of the Ghana cedi. And this is relief brought to the pockets of the people of Ghana. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, the transport companies will tell you that since government began to engage them about a decade ago in the fixing of transport prices twice a year, it is under this government that the single biggest reduction in transport fares has occurred, of 15%. Yeah. And that is because fuel prices, which is a key determinant of transport fares, has reduced substantially. That is also not in debate. Mr. Speaker, even as I go on to correct some misimpressions, my respected friend, Dr. Gideon Boako, sought to assail the fiscal consolidation measures of the finance minister. He decried the effort of the finance minister to hold the line and ensure that the same fiscal indiscipline which led us to the crisis that the superintendent does not recur. He accuses the minister of excessive fiscal consolidation. Mr. Speaker, all that the minister has done is that he has adjusted his expenditure patterns to meet unexpected shortfalls in revenue. It is common knowledge, Mr. Speaker, that if for some reason your revenue sources suffer a hit, you adjust your expenditure. It is because they were unable to do that for 3 consecutive years under them, we recorded double-digit deficits. When revenue suffered under them, they decided to spend more. But this finance minister says no. We must turn away from that kind of reckless expenditure. So if you check page 18 of the budget, at paragraph 112, the minister makes the point that revenue underperformed by about 4.7%. That meant that the projections he had made had come short, and therefore there was a need to change strategy to ensure that we do not overspend. So he also adjusted expenditure and cut goods and services, which is discretionary, whilst ensuring that important disbursements to statutory funds are met. Mr. Speaker, I, by virtue of being MP for Abra Sebu Kwamankese, as is the case for all my colleagues, am an ex-official member of the Abra Sebu Kwamankese District Assembly. So I know that this government has done a yeoman's job in terms of spending in the right places. Mr. Speaker, the whole of last year, the AAK District Assembly received only 298,000 Ghana cedis in common funds. 298,000 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, by the middle of this year, the same assembly had received 6.5 million Ghana cedis in common fund disbursements. Because of that, as I speak to you, the AAK District Assembly has almost completed 8 different projects, which they could not do the whole of last year. So it is not true that this finance minister is not spending. He is spending in the right places. Mr. Speaker, for the first time, the National Health Insurance Scheme reports that they have a healthy balance in their accounts. Unlike the past, when a minuscule of what was due them was reimbursed by government. Mr. Speaker, today, we do not hear noises about free senior high school because this finance minister is remitting adequate resources to them through GET Fund. Mr. Speaker, between the beginning of this year and now, about 1.3 billion Ghana cedis has been paid to senior high schools to feed Ghanaian school children. It is the reason why the noises that used to emerge over the poor quality of food or unavailability of food has subsided. So, the minister is engaging in fiscal consolidation as a way to prevent the fiscal slippages that we have suffered from in the past. But he is spending in the right places. Mr. Speaker, there was also an attempt to distort what has been done under the book push agenda. It is true that the minister budgeted 13.9 billion Ghana cedis in the 2025 budget, which is roughly equivalent at the time to about $1 billion. Mr. Speaker, since then, 33 different projects have either gone far in terms of their execution, and these projects include some of the big road projects that they did not have specific dedicated funds for when they were in government, and therefore left in the lurch. As I speak to you, those projects have begun, and they are ongoing. There are many more that are ongoing, but the minister has said that unlike in their time, when they used to pay mobilization to contractors before they went on site, some of whom actually squandered the money, he was not going to give anybody mobilization. As I speak to you, the minister has in excess of $900 million in his account. And he has said that any contractor who presents a certificate will be paid in 30 days, 1 month. The Deputy Minister for Roads is right here behind me, and he can corroborate what I'm saying. So it is not true that the minister is not spending under big bush. The minister is ensuring that there is value for money, and that people who actually do work are the ones that we are going to pay. Mr. Speaker, they also keep on claiming that the Bank of Ghana has printed money to finance the activities of Gold Board. Mr. Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, the Bank of Ghana has not printed a dime to give to Gold Board. What the Bank of Ghana has been, and indeed, Mr. Speaker, our friends on the other side must make up their minds on exactly what they think this government has done or not done. In one breath, they claim that the city is stable or the city has appreciated because of some gold accumulation policy that they implemented. Mr. Speaker, they forget that by the time they left office, they had accumulated close to 30 tons of gold, and yet our currency suffered its most catastrophic depreciation in recent memory. What the Bank of Ghana has done is that they take money from commercial banks who are interested in forex, give it to Gold Board to purchase gold, export it, and remit the funds thereof in hard currency, which the Bank of Ghana gives back to the very people they took money from. That is what my colleague, the Honorable Adongo, referred to as intermediation. That is what has happened. But, Mr. Speaker, even as they criticize and falsely accuse the Bank of Ghana of intervening in the market, the records show that in 2024 alone, by the end of October, they had pumped $3.15 billion onto the forex market in a bid to save the Ghana cedi, and yet the Ghana cedi suffered its most catastrophic decline under them. So if merely pumping dollars onto the forex market is what causes the currency to achieve stability, they would have achieved it. We have innovated and introduced a measure that is ensuring that there is liquidity on the forex market so that when they need it for transactions, they get something to do. That is what they are failing to recognize and are peddling all manner of misleading claims against this government. But, Mr. Speaker, let me make the point that if you put all the macroeconomic indices aside, the economic management of this government is touching real lives. Mr. Speaker, they were the ones who used to argue that parents could not pay between 800 Ghana cedis and 1,500 Ghana cedis as fees at senior high school level, and therefore they needed to introduce the free senior high school. Yet the same people are opposed to the fact that when senior high school graduates leave school, they have to go to tertiary institutions, and that tertiary fees are even more expensive than senior high school fees. If parents cannot pay 800 and 1,500 Ghana cedis, can they be expected to pay in excess of 3,000 Ghana cedis at tertiary level? No. So this government introduced the no-fee stress policy. And Mr. Speaker, I can report that as of the end of the last academic year, 151,000 Ghanaian first-year university or tertiary students had received reimbursements under the no-fee stress policy. Wow. This is how prudent.
Honourable member, your time is up. Honourable members, it is now the turn of Honourable Alexander Akwesi Akwa. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for the opportunity to give some feedback of the budget that had been delivered to this House by the Honourable Ofosu. Mr. Speaker, I must say that the budget was actually delivered with a lot of confidence, and it actually gave us the opportunity to also analyze the budget. For the last weekend that I was in the constituency, I met a group of young men and we went through the budget. And one suggested that the budget will be better assessed if we look at how specific it is, how measurable it is, how achievable it is, how realistic or relevant it is, and then we look at the time-bound nature of the provisions in the budget. And so at the end of the day, we want to see whether it is a smart budget or not. And Mr. Speaker, I am sad to report to this House that when we went through some of the topics in the budget, we realized that this is not a smart budget. This is not a smart budget because, as a former Deputy Minister for Health, we realized that last year, the budget made allocation for national health insurance to the tune of 10.5 billion. Everybody was happy, including the private health providers, because health insurance had not been capped like it used to be in the past. And so people were expecting that this is going to improve healthcare. The private healthcare people were going to receive their monies, and it was actually going to help generally healthcare delivery. This year, this figure has reduced to 8 billion. And then you are looking at a shortfall for 2.5 billion cedis. So you want to ask this question, that what is going to happen to the primary healthcare project that is also in this budget? This budget is asking that the government should start implementing the free primary healthcare. It is out of the same 8 billion that we are going to have the Mahama care, 25% of it, like it used to happen in the last budget. Mr. Speaker, a lot of people are wondering whether it is the mind, whether it is the intention of this government to collapse the health insurance, just to make sure that the Mahama care survives and it stands in the name of the President of the Republic. Mr. Speaker, this budget is asking for free primary health care. What it means is that people who are going to benefit from private health care, primary health care, will not have to use health insurance. One wonders what is going to happen to the poor who are going to use the free primary health care. The free primary health care ensures that you don't need any health insurance. This is actually going to demotivate people from renewing their health insurance. So the very poor people that you say you want to use the free primary health care to save are the very people who are going to suffer under this. Because when they have attended health care using the free primary health care program, when their health insurance is expired, they might not even remember to go and renew it. And at the time that they have to be referred to a secondary or a tertiary institution, how do they account for their bills? So the very poor people that the free primary health care is going to save are the very people who are going to be impoverished. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the budget is talking about creating page 133 of the budget, paragraph 1059. Mr. Speaker, I read. Mr. Speaker, to bridge the inequality in access to healthcare, access in our regions, across our regions, government will commence the process towards the construction of 6 new regional hospitals for the 6 newly created regions, beginning with 3 hospitals in 2026 and 2 district hospitals at Bole and Shama. Mr. Speaker, just look at the wording. Government will commence the process towards the construction of 6 new regional hospitals. It is not the same as government is going to construct 6 new regional hospitals. It is not the same. And we want to ask, which of the regional hospitals, which of the regions are we talking about? Because under Agenda 111, the newly created regional hospitals were catered for. It went to PPA, contractors were secured, value for money from Ministry of Finance was done, but for the debt exchange, the contractors would have been working by now. And so is it the same project that they are going to continue, or they are going to abandon that process and, like it stated here, a process? Mr. Speaker, this is the same government that promised women banking. And in the last budget, it dedicated only 50 million for women banking. And when questions were asked, it was stated that this women, the 50 million was only going to help in putting together the women banking. Yes, this year there's been an allocation for it. But if paragraph 1059 is going to stand as we are going to begin the process towards the construction of 6 new regional hospitals, then it means that we are only going to have paperwork. And if you go to the next line, it tells you we are going to begin with 3 hospitals in 2026. So if we are going to begin with 3 hospitals in 2026, why don't we state that? But to say that the 6 regional hospitals are going to have new hospitals, Mr. Speaker, this shows clearly that this budget is Sakawa budget. It's a budget that you cannot trust. It is a budget that you cannot trust.
Honorable member, will you do the needful and withdraw the word Sakawa?
I'm guided, Mr. Speaker.
Please withdraw.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw the word Sakawa. But what I meant is, this is a budget that says one thing and does another. And that's another. So, which are the regions that are going to benefit from the new agenda, the new hospitals? Mr. Speaker, if you look at that same paragraph, it is stated that 2 district hospitals at Bole and Shama are going to be constructed. Mr. Speaker, I am aware that Bole has a district hospital. Bole has a district hospital. And so why are we going to do a new hospital in Bole? Granted, it is the home of the president. It is the home of the president. And so, I mean, we can understand. But that is the difference between the ex-president and now the Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the current president, His Excellency John Mahama. The Chebi Hospital is one of the oldest hospitals in Ghana. But His Excellency, the former president, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, did not build a new hospital. He only rehabilitated that hospital. He only rehabilitated that one. So we think that Bole's district hospital can be rehabilitated so that that funding can be sent to Achimota Government Hospital. Mr. Speaker, when the president was campaigning, he came to Achimota and promised the people of Achimota that he was going to give us a new hospital that is befitting of our municipality, because our hospital is over 100 years. I'm using this opportunity to remind the president that his promise to the people of Achimota is still sitting in the heads of the people of Achimota. And so the funding that is going to go to Bole, we're asking it to go to Achimota Government Hospital. Mr. Speaker, I'm also looking at the issue of district assemblies. As a deputy ranking member for the local government committee, last year a lot of money was said to have been sent to the various district assemblies, Mr. Speaker. But during the audit report hearing, where all the district assemblies came, we realized that the monies were still sitting in their accounts. And you question them and they tell you there are a lot of bottlenecks. Apparently these monies have been logged and there's a lot of inactivity in the districts. What has been happening there, Mr. Speaker, is just cleanups, sanitation, everyday cleanups, and the monies have been sitting in their accounts. Now we are being told in this budget that the guidelines given to the various MMDAs for the last year budget.
Remember, are you talking about the audit report of 2024 or 2025?
The audit report of 2024, Mr. Speaker. But we took opportunity to find out how they had utilized the monies that have been sent to them. And majority of them confessed that their monies were sitting in their accounts. I mean, some are waiting for drawings. There are no plans for it. But apparently that was a very smart way of keeping those monies for the implementation of projects for this year. So currently you have some of them cutting sword and making ready for some projects. What it means is that monies allocated from last year were not utilized and they are going to be pushed to this year. It means that we have had a lot of inactivity in the assemblies. For a whole year, there's been nothing. There is no project. There's nothing happening in the various assemblies. My very good friend said that his constituency has had so much money. You should go and check how much money has been expended. The monies are still sitting in the accounts. They are still sitting in the accounts. Mr. Speaker, fiscal autonomy. Now, there's a letter circulating in social media, Mr. Speaker. There's a letter from the Ministry of Local Government that is directing MMDAs to contract specific companies to award them the construction of some furniture. Mr. Speaker, decentralization, what it means is we actually have to capacitate the assemblies. Why can't they find their own people? Why can't they find their own companies? The local people, local entrepreneurs, empowering them, the local entrepreneurs. But this letter is making rounds and is asking the assemblies to contract them for the construction of these furniture. Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate this government. I am told that the district assemblies, the MMDs, have had their salaries increased to about 35,000. I think that one, if it is true, we have to congratulate this government. Because what it means is that the MMDAs are now going to be empowered to work. What it means is that if such huge sums of money is going to them at the end of each month as salaries, as remuneration, against the paltry 9% that was given to public sector workers, we're expecting them to work and take care of our various assemblies. Mr. Speaker, I want to end with Galamsey. Yes, I want to end with Galamsey. Before I do Galamsey, Mr. Speaker, one of the flagships for this budget is the express road that is passing through my constituency, Achimota. This weekend, I had some chiefs and people coming to me and they were asking, is it true there's going to be that road network through our constituency? I said, yes, that's what the minister said. I didn't want to sound like a prophet of doom. And so I said, this is going to make our constituency very open. But they ask, which area of Achimota is that road network going to pass? Clearly, they started doubting that project, especially when they realized that the government says it's going to do it in 3 years. The government said it's going to do it in 3 years. This is clearly a budget that cannot be trusted. Mr. Speaker, I was going to end with Galamsey. Galamsey has been a bane to all of us. And I have been one of the people pushing so much on Galamsey. Mr. Speaker, if you go to my constituency, you have the MCE boldly opening up, saying that he is taking fines.
Remember, conclude.
He's taking fines against people of Galamsey. What it means is that government in Hensika, people who have been engaged in Galamsey and have been arrested, how do you take money from them? For a government that has pushed so much money into the various assemblies, why would you be charging people?
Remember, your time is up. I will proceed to give the floor to Honorable Suleimana Adama. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the budget statement has only one conclusion. And the conclusion is that Ghana's economy is breathing again. Mr. Speaker, the conclusion is that the economy is stronger, it's steadier now, and has full of promise. Mr. Speaker, the effects of this is the restoration of fiscal discipline. Mr. Speaker, our city is stabilized. Inflation is under control. And rating agencies are now convinced with our economy now. Mr. Speaker, overall, GDP is 6.3%. Primary balance surplus is 1.6%. It means that we are managing expenditure vis-a-vis the revenue that we have. Mr. Speaker, public debt compared to the total economy has reduced. So as a percentage of GDP, has reduced from 69% to 45%. This is the most significant decrease in almost 10 years. Mr. Speaker, when we were in school, when you have a policy, or when you have a program with a constant and a variable in it, Mr. Speaker, if there are changes in the output, it could only be as a result of the variable. What are the variables that we have? And what is the constant that we have? Mr. Speaker, consistently for almost 4 years, our economy pre-2025 had been characterized by falling currency depreciating, interest rates always high. Mr. Speaker, the only variable that we have for the last year has been a change in government. There's a new president, there's a new economic management team, and there's a new minister for finance. So, Mr. Speaker, I wonder when people say the changes that we are seeing now are as a result of things that we did previously. This House must be commended for the changes initiated by the Minister for Finance. Mr. Speaker, we were here when the Minister presented the 2025 budget. As part of the budget, there were some policy reforms that the Minister presented. One of them, the key one, Mr. Speaker, was the amendment to the Public Procurement Authority Act to include commitment authorization. Mr. Speaker, hitherto, state-owned agencies could commit the state to costs that there are no money for because the Minister for Finance wasn't aware. When this House passed this amendment and brought in commitment authorization, no state agency could do any commitment without the approval of the minister. So when you see our public debt reducing from 69% of our GDP to 45% of GDP, it did not come from the skies. It is as a result of the pulse and the hands and the eyes that the minister has. Now, when you watch the Public Accounts Committee and you see expenditures by SOEs, and you ask, for instance, a state agency like Electricity Company of Ghana, why did you spend beyond appropriation? It was because at that time, there was no eyes on them. Now we have a minister who has brought an innovation to hold these agencies responsible. Even with appropriation, you still need commitment authorization. So for those of you seeking to know why the city, the debt to GDP is now 45%, thank the minister and thank this government. Mr. Speaker, exchange rate is a function of demand and supply of forex. If you have a lot of a particular resource, prices will go down. If you have less of those resources and there's demand for it, prices will rise up. So if you don't have the forest, you wouldn't be able to manage the economy. Mr. Speaker, this House enacted the Gold Board Act. Hitherto, individuals were the ones purchasing gold and exporting them. Mr. Speaker, after the enactment of the Gold Board Act, it is now the sole responsibility of Gold Board to do exporting of gold. It brings forest into the market. When there's forest, the Gold Board will have to actually, in conjunction with the central bank, manage this forest that is in the economy. So when we have a lot of forest, a lot of foreign currency in the economy, then what the minister spoke about, managing the forest very well in order to have stabilization of the city, comes in. So it is what we see are the result of direct policies led by the Minister for Finance and the government of Ghana. So I spoke about the Gold Board. I spoke about the other policy that the minister brought in. So, Mr. Speaker, the economy is in safe hands. We are no more under autopilot. There is a pilot responsible